introduction about me. Okay, and I hope today, as you all know, that I'll be talking about education psychology from a teacher's perspective as well as a career counselor's perspective. So I'm trying to go. I hope I am. I'm sure I'm going. It's going to be a fun time in the sense we're going to be having a quite an interactive session. Okay, you can after my session is over, you can probably we can have a discussion on we can raise questions and answers. So I'm sure I'll be able to help you out with whatever queries you all have. So are we good to start then,
Yeah.
Devika?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just share my screen first. One second. Yeah. So is the screen visible to all of you? Devika, is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, students. And it's really a great pleasure. Good evening to all the students here. And it's a great pleasure. I hear that you all have started off with your MA Psychology. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful experience to learn psychology. And I hope all of you are safe and good health because of this COVID time. I'm sure many families have got impacted, and it's not only the adults, even the children have got impacted because of this. And the impact is like not only at the physical but also the mental health of the people as well as the students. And today, as I told you, I'm going to be talking on perspective, understanding more about the students. Okay, students' mental health. So it so definitely don't you think that COVID has somewhere affected. I mean, you all of you are students, so I'm sure that you too would have gone through some kind of mental health this time of this pandemic. So you can put your answers in the chat box. So with me to also understand whether we are in alignment or we are in.
At times,
I'm sure all of you will have gone through a lot of.
Maybe, ma'am, you can just switch off your camera and then it might be.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can just turn off your camera and you can speak. Sometimes it becomes okay then.
Sure. Okay, 1 second. One second. Okay, so now I'll share the screen again with you. Okay, this seems better.
It's not. It's yes. Now it's sharing.
Okay, fine. So most of you all, there must be many who would have gone through a lot of mental health as students also, because since you are already into this education and in the study, are in the students, you all are pursuing a lot of courses. So that also, and also as a career counselor, I've seen a lot of students as well as parents approaching me with regard to a lot of issues in terms of their mental health or a lot of emotional health issues which they have been going through because of this pandemic. So I think because of all of these things, there is a growing awareness about psychology. Okay, and because of this, there are a lot of students nowadays who are coming to me or approaching me saying that there is that they would want to take a career in psychology. So if you put it besides the COVID, what are the other reasons why there is so much demand for psychology? As a career counselor, I see a whole lot of bunch of students who are asking me about what is psychology, what are the career increasing incidents of stress in the society, even at the work level, even at the workplace. Also, if you see that everybody are working from home, we see that there are a lot of again a lot of mental tensions and stress that they're going through, and which could have been better if they are at the workplace. And that is one of the reasons. Breakdown of the traditional family support system also has led to a growing demand for professional psychologists in all areas, that is social, medical, vocational, industries, and also in education. Okay. So this, because of this, the career prospects for psychologists have shot up to a whole new level. In light of this today, I'll be speaking about the growing importance and relevance for educational psychologists. Okay. So as I have as Devika has already been educating and career counseling
Ma'am,
for the
at
more than a
times
decade now.
your
So I'm
audio
not a
is,
psychologist.
ma'am, at times your audio is cracking. Is this connected to Wi-Fi or is it your mobile data? Ma'am, you're not audible.
It's Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi.
It's
I
Wi-Fi.
was and check.
Maybe you can just put
One
your
second.
hotspot on. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible, but at times it keeps like cracking in between. So it's difficult
Lagging
for
now.
us to connect these sentences. Have you tried your mobile data?
Okay. One second. Can you just hold for a minute? I will just check
No
for a minute.
worries. Yeah. Everyone, please give ma'am a minute so she can connect with her different data and see.
Okay.
I hope this feels better now. Okay. Right now, am I audible? Hello?
I think it's good. Maybe you can talk and then we'll see.
Probably will check. Yeah. So, do I need to repeat something or repeat it, or should I just continue?
It's fine, ma'am.
What
You
do you
can.
say? Okay, fine. So, anyways, so my perspective as a teacher as well as a career counselor. Okay, I have more than a decade years of experience in both teaching as well as in career. I've been able to connect with people and connect with students and able to build a rapport with them. During this time, I'm also able to understand what are the things that is going on in their mind, okay, and what they are not aware of, okay, and where is that we as teachers as a career counselor we need to help out our students. Okay, so this is what exactly what I will be, whatever I have observed during my course of experience as a teacher and a career counselor. That is what I would like to share with you all today. Okay, so to talk about, generally people say psychology, there are a lot of other psychologists that people generally talk about, like industrial psychology or maybe healthcare, from the various other sectors, healthcare basically. Okay, industrial psychology, there's military psychology, forensic psychology, sports psychology. Okay, but educational psychology is something which people think is fairly new, which is something new, which is just started off in schools or something, but it is not so. It dates back to Plato and Aristotle. Plato believed that learning is based on mind's innate capacity to receive information and judge its intellectual and moral value. Later, many psychologists like Albert Bandura, Howard Gardner, Jerome Bruner have formed a growing and diverse body of theory and practice of educational psychology. And this intriguing topic is what we are going to be discussing today. Carl Jung and John Holland have played a significant role in career counseling because they have developed a lot of psychometric tests which we are using even today. Okay, so before we go to understand about educational psychology, I would like to hear from you all, what is education? Let us first understand what is education. I would like you all to put it in the chat box, whatever you all understand about education. I give you some time. I'm audible, right? Irfana, just tell me if I'm not
Yes,
audible.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Anybody, whatever you feel about education, we are all studying. We say education is such a big thing. It's learning, okay? What else? We are only learning. Must be some source where we are learning. No, I think everybody acquiring facts and skills. Okay, that's nice, Kenan. Okay. So, 1 more minute. Let me see, or tell me something. Memorizing facts, okay, that's nice. Studying and practicing our skills, okay, fine. Okay.
Ma'am, are you speaking? Because we're not able to hear you.
To hear me?
Last few
Actually,
seconds was silent.
yeah, there is an issue. I don't know what's happening in Mumbai. Is it raining?
Yeah, it's raining heavily.
Okay, okay, fine. It's like sometimes, your voice comes and then sometimes it goes. So
Oh
let's,
no.
yeah, but do
Okay.
you want me to like reschedule it to another time where it's all fine?
I don't mind it. Or maybe like, can you just give me a 10 minutes time? Can we get back again in 10 minutes so that I can change my place and see where I can get good coverage?
Yeah, would that be fine? I have to ask the students then. Devika, Nishita, Krishna, Kenan.
Perfectly fine.
Fine with me. Yep.
Okay, okay. We can give them a 10-minute break as well.
Oh, they would love that.
Yeah, ma'am, just let me know, Jyoti ma'am, when you're done, and then I'll bring them back.
Right. So now it's like 3:55. Okay, by 4:05 we will
Yes,
get
yes,
in, right?
sure, sure. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's all
Okay,
connect
see
back.
you everybody. Right, sure. Okay.
Hello, ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I'm good. Am I
Yeah.
audible?
You seem to be fine. Can you like just say something wrong so I can really understand?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I can say about myself. My name is Rup. I stay in Mumbai. Irfana is my friend.
I think it's better than before. I think it's better than before.
Okay,
Anyhow, yeah, let's give it a shot
okay,
when everyone joins in. Yeah.
okay, fine, yeah, okay. But if I switch on the audio, video, just see how is it?
Okay, okay, okay. Can you like speak a little more then?
Okay, I'll speak a little more.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I feel like it's good. Okay,
You
okay.
know, I went to a place where there is not much of distraction. No, I'm sitting in a place with a lot of
Okay.
distraction.
Oh, okay. And what is this flower thing behind you? Are you on a swing or something?
I'm not on a swing. My house is always done with
Okay, is it
my hall.
real flowers?
Yeah, I mean, my one side of the wall has flowers all the time.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I guess everyone will be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So they'll be happy they got a break.
I know they've been breaking and
Yeah,
breaking.
yeah. We
Let
have
me check.
Devika here as well.
Yeah, Devika, hi. I'll just get my screens also ready, my
Yes.
slides ready. So now this is all visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can try with the camera itself if it's working. It's always good to see your face.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
How's it?
Yes, yes, I think it's better. I'll just invite everyone to come now.
I hope my flowers are not distracting.
Oh, ma'am, it's okay.
No, no, it's pretty. Okay, ma'am, we can start.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just wait for one person. But anyway, you can start. I'll bring him up.
So as I saw it in the chat box that many of you had written like it's something about acquiring knowledge, and, right? Is it just about acquisition of knowledge? You need a source from where you acquire knowledge, right? There must be somebody who's giving that knowledge, and then there is somebody who's accepting them or acquiring those knowledge. When there is a person who gives the knowledge and the other person acquires the knowledge, together they become education. So it is both an act of giving knowledge and acquisition of knowledge. Okay? So let's see it first. To put it in a very simple, all of them are there, and am I audible to everybody now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me put it in a very simple way, a simple analogy for you all. If I have two computers, computer A and computer B. Okay. Now, computer A is I need to transfer data from computer A to computer B. Okay. So, in during the course when I am transferring data from computer to A to computer B, okay, I'm not able to do it because of some reason. What do I do then? I'm not able to fix it. What do I do? I would like to hear it.
Get help, ma'am. Get help from someone who would know better.
Yes, who will help to identify the problem, fix the
Troubleshooting.
problem, right?
Troubleshooting.
Yes, exactly. So that's exactly what somebody has to there needs an engineer or a technician who will help to identify the problem, whether the problem is in computer A or computer B, and then fix the problem, right? So that's exactly what a psychologist do. Okay? Now let me explain it in a better way. Now, teaching in a classroom environment. The classroom environment, when the teacher is imparting knowledge, she's teaching, okay? And the students are the learners. So they are acquiring the knowledge. So the entire process is called as the teaching learning. During this course of time, when the teacher is imparting knowledge and students are acquiring the knowledge, if during this course of time, if the student is not able to acquire the knowledge at an optimum level, what happens? There is some reason why there could have been, why the students are not able to acquire the knowledge at the optimum level. Can you suggest me some reasons as to why? I think you all can unmute yourself and you can ask, you can tell the answer instead of a chat box. Anybody? Why do you think that the students are not able to acquire knowledge at optimum level? What could?
Ma'am, the education that they give are not by with structure with every student. Like it's a basic concept for everyone, and everyone has a different needs and capacity for learning.
Okay, so everybody have different IQ level, capacity to grasp it. That's one. What are the reasons?
Language barrier.
Imagine a simple scenario when each of you are in the class. When a teacher is explaining you something, are you acquiring the knowledge at the optimum level that you should? Whatever she explains has been acquired at 100%. There could be
Not
some.
always.
No, no. Why?
Some
Why?
get distractions or preoccupied or
Even a simple thing like a rain would could probably be a distraction. So
Yeah.
environment can be a distraction. If a child is pinching the other boy, okay, the other child, that would be a distraction. Okay. He was scolded by his teacher in the last period. That could be a distraction. Or he found something fancy in his pencil box. That could be a distraction. There could be various reasons. That's one area. So besides that, the ability of the child to acquire the knowledge. That could be different. Okay. Some may like maths and may learn maths very fast, but there are some children who may not like it, they may not grasp it. So the interest and the skill of each child is also different. So in a way, if you see that when the teacher is imparting the knowledge and the student is not acquiring the knowledge at optimum level, just like the technician in the computers, a technician is required to fix this. And who's a technician in the school? It's a psychologist. So the psychologist tries to identify the problem and then she fixes the problem. Okay, that's exactly what a school psychologist or an educational psychologist. So what is educational psychologist? Educational psychology is that branch of the psychology which deals with learning and teaching. The psychologists help the students to learn better at optimum level. So what are the methods or what processes can be done or what methods can be adopted so that the child acquires maximum knowledge is what we call as, that is what educational psychologists do. Okay, so what does they typically do in a school? I mean, generally, educational psychologists, they work in school, colleges, institutions, juveniles. Okay, so but the most popular being the school psychologist. Now, what do? They improve the academic achievements. Now, do you think that every child who's not scoring well, okay, suppose in the class, there would be not everybody scoring very well. There will be some who would be scoring really well, but there are some who would be not scoring, would be scoring average, or maybe some would be coming out with poor scores. So what could be the reasons for it? What could be the reasons? Those reasons. Tell me. Yeah, please.
Like the way of acquiring knowledge for each person would be like each student would be different.
Correct.
But the way of teaching for all the like 40 to 60 students, the teacher would be using one single method.
Yes, exactly. Like for example, what happens is that nowadays in school they use different methods. Everybody have their own learning style. Like for example, there must be some students who learn quickly by experiments, some learn quickly by watching movies or watching movies or maybe videos, etc. Then there must be some who understand fast by just drawing on the mind maps and flow charts, etc. Some like to read and learn. They just keep writing the answers and then they learn the answers. So there are different methods. Everybody have their own styles. So what happens is that for a teacher, it is very difficult in a classroom to identify why the child is not able to study or score well. This is something which the psychologists here, it's where they intervene and they identify what the problem is and why the child is not able to score well. And they help them in improving the scores. It can also be some children have a very short span of attention. They can pay attention only for 10 minutes and after that they are lost. They cannot grasp. What happens? Such a scenario is the psychologists identify what is the reason. Is it the attention span? Is it the what kind of distraction is something that is impairing his scores? They identify and they help in promoting good scores. Next one is promoting positive health, and you must be seeing nowadays because of this digital media, then this PUBG and all of these things has become a major distraction, and these have somewhere impacted children's mental health. There has been growing concerns about lack of concentration. Okay, children are getting lost even when the bell is ringing in the house. They are not able to hear it because they are so lost in the game or they are so lost on television, etc. So this is something very very alarming or a very very scary thing for us, because these children who needs, when they are not having that kind of attention, or they are out of focus, okay, or they are focusing on to something which is not good for their health, what happens is that it is going to affect their studies on a very paramount level. That is the reason the psychologist identifies what is the reason for their how can they help in promoting a positive health. And another thing is aggression, violence. Okay, today children do not have that kind of patience or tolerance. The moment there's another child, there's a lot of violence which is taking place in the school, whether in the washroom or whether in the classroom. So it's a growing concern for the school authority. So they have to be really really vigilant so that nothing untoward happens in the school. So we have to create that kind of a positive environment, and those kind of methods, what can be used, are identified by the psychologists and they use it in the school. Next is, now you must have heard about RTE, right to education. Have you all heard of it?
No, no.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Who can tell me right to anything a little?
The boys and girls of over the age of 14 shall have free education.
Right to education, okay, that's one thing. Okay. Besides that, every child, it is mandatory that every child, whatever kind of mental capacity they have, they are supposed to be, they should be included in a normal school of education. It should be a normal school. Like for example, there are students who are autistic, who have some kind of a learning, that are generally put in special school, isn't it? So what the right to education says is that every child has full right to study in a regular school. That's called as inclusive education. Okay.
Ma'am, but the regular school doesn't provide the curriculum for this special treatment.
That's where the psychologists come.
Okay.
So what they do is that these psychologists, they make some simpler papers for them. They help to identify. There are some children who have weak motor, hand motor skills. So what happens is that they help them. There is a shadow teacher who will help them in writing. They must be, their hand muscles may be very weak, because of which they are not able to write. So what
Tare
happens?
Zameen Par, ma'am. Tare Zameen Par.
Yes, I'm coming to it. So then, these kind of problem, the dyslexia, as you already said, Shanavasti, right? So dyslexia. So what happens is that in all of these circumstances, the psychologists help, and they help in completing their, academics in a different manner. They take, these children are taken to the special room and special papers, etc. But they are in the mainstream school.
Okay.
So that the whole idea is that the regular students as well as students with special needs, they all need to be adapted. Acceptance should be there. Every child is special. Every child is are very unique in their own ways. So what happens is that if you put a child in a special school, what happens? He's not able to socially interact with the normal people. There is some kind of lack of confidence in him, something that scares him, an anxiety in him. But if a child goes to a regular school, even the students, even the normal students, the school, teachers, everybody start accepting. And this is why we have this inclusive education. Am I clear here? Next is creating a safe and positive environment. Must have seen, like a few years back, there was a case of Brian International where there was some kind of unprecedented events which had taken place. Okay, all of these things are because of there is a lot of things which are going in a child's mind. Okay, there's a lot of things like aggression, basically aggression, violence, hatred. Okay, all of these things are coming because of the social media and because of these games that they are playing, because of all of. But such kind of situation should not take place in this way. So what they do is that they conduct a lot of workshops and they conduct a lot of, they conduct a lot of programs which will help them to create awareness for the students to how they should behave, how they should learn to be safe in the school. Okay, so this kind of programs and all workshops which are conducted by the schools, by the psychologists in the school itself, so that they can create a very safe and a positive environment. Okay. Another thing is that if a child, like for example, let's take the example of Ishan Avasti in Tarizan. Okay. Now, he did not get the support of the teachers. He did not get the support of the family. Okay. Who identified that he had a problem?
Someone who had the problem himself.
Yes, yeah. So that was his own teacher where he went to the boarding school. That's when they identified, right? There was only, name was Ram Kumar Nikum, if I remember. Right. So he identified that this child is having some, he identified, and then he took care of the child and helped him over. But imagine, had the circumstance been different, if in the school there was a school counselor, or the teacher knew something about all of this, or the parents knew something about it.
They could
Couldn't
have
this whole,
identified
yes,
yes,
this whole thing could have been different.
yes.
And one more thing is there. This is not something which only the school should do or which only the parents must do. We all need to join hands together. We all need to join hands together and make this work work as a team to create a very positive environment. When we start accepting that a child is having a problem, and when we start including, automatically, even our kids will become part of it. The other kids also will start joining. But it all should start from the parent level, or at the school level, at the teachers level. So that is the reason the school counselors, psychologists, they bring this bond together. They strengthen this bond. They work together as families, the school authorities, as well as the family. Everybody, they join hands. They help in bringing that bond. Okay, so this is what the school psychologists do.
Ma'am?
Yeah?
Can I give an example?
I didn't get you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Nishit.
I said, can I give an example?
Example for strengthening school-family partnership?
No, like for the support diverse learners or
Support diverse. You mean, like for example, there are so many students. Now, I'll give you my own example in my school how it used to work. Okay, so there were some autistic children in our class. Then there were some children who had dyslexia. Okay, some who had writing disability. Okay, so in such a case, there would be a shadow teacher. Okay, even at board level also, in that 10th standard or 12th standard level. So if a child is not able to write the paper, okay, there would be a shadow teacher who would be there to write to whatever he says. He will say, he will dictate, and the teacher will write. Okay. Similarly, if somebody is not able to hear, somebody is not able to see, okay, for all of this, there is a support system available.
no,
Okay,
I meant I had an example.
Okay.
Like there was somebody I know, and they were concerned over their child not being able to study with the regular students, and he wasn't performing well in the study. So they went to a psychologist to get him help. But it turned out that he was actually a genius, and he needed he needed special education, but on a higher level than what he was actually learning. So
Yeah,
even
so-
there you need an intervention.
Yeah,
of a
gifted.
psychologist.
They are called as gifted children.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are one is a child who is weak. Then there is one. Then another child who must be extremely intelligent. That also. So see in a classroom, you just see there are children who are gifted children who are extremely intelligent. Okay. Then there are some who are extremely weak. So for a teacher, it becomes so difficult to cater to all of these. Okay. So what we normally used to do as a teacher, what we used to do is that we used to identify these children. Okay, and take help of the psychologist to cope up with it. So they used to give their own strategies and some kind of uh, basically some strategies to actually deal with these kind of things.
You
And
had
some-
some tests for this kind of
Yeah. There are a lot of tests which are conducted by the psychologists. They have it in-house. Now it has become mandatory for all the schools to have psychologists, in-house psychologists.
Yes.
Okay, there are special educators, then behavioral psychologists. Okay, when there are children who get angry, that's a very, very common thing. Get angry very fast, they hit each other. This kind of violence is controlled by the psychologist, by the behavioral psychologist. Sometimes if they don't, I mean, simple thing like, if the teacher is asking question and he's not given a chance to answer, okay, automatically the child gets so angry, he'll probably push the table, he'll throw the books, he'll throw the pencils, or hit somebody else. So this is something which is normally taken. These kind of children needs to be taken care of. And at that time, it's a psychologist who can intervene and come and examine what is to be done, how they help in dealing with students. So in school, it is compulsory to have. Unfortunately, it is not much, so much of importance is not being given by the school authorities also and at the educational board. I'll be coming to all of this in some time. Okay, so now you understand with all that I spoke now. Don't you think today's education is a very complex one, like what it was before, isn't it? So this one is everybody has different learning style. Okay, everybody come from a different social economic background, cultural background. Okay, now there must be some children who use abusive words because that's the way that's how they've been talking at home. Okay, so another child with whom he interacts may not like if somebody's that kind of. So what happens? There's again some kind of this kind of hit and push and again some kind of hitting and all of those something of these kind takes place. So we should understand that some children are so emotionally weak. The moment you say, "Can you please stop this?" and they start crying.
Yes.
Okay, so they are so weak. They are so emotionally so weak that we need to take care of that. Then then each of them have their own capabilities and skills. That is the reason in a school, when a teacher is teaching, what she does, she's teaching a topic. What she does is that first she's drawing on the board. Okay, I was a social studies teacher. So what I do is that draw the map on the board. Okay, then after that, I teach them. Then we go to the geography lab and then we show the map to them. Okay, then we have some worksheets. Then we have some question answers. Okay, then there are some videos. Why do we use so many different kind of teaching aids for the students? Because each student is different. Okay, now out of you, I don't know how many of you are there, but out of this, imagine there are 10 of you. Out of this 10, if I show you this, you must be grasping better. There must be some who will be grasping fast through the slides. There will be some who will be grasping quickly or understanding better whatever I am saying. Some understand better with examples. Okay, some understand better with experiments. Some better with videos. So learning style for each one of us different. So that is the reason a teacher has to understand this, and that is the reason a particular topic is taught in different type of methods to the student in the class. Okay. Then again, we should remember that when there is an inclusive education is there, there's some child with dyslexia or with a child with like you remember in Tare Zameen Par, okay, the English teacher was teaching and teacher tells him to read. He's unable to read it. He's saying that teacher, the alphabets are dancing. Okay, why is he saying that? Because there is a problem. But what did the teacher say? Are you thinking it's a joke? This classroom is a joke, and she throws him out of the class. Right? So the child is having a problem. It's not identified. But think from a teacher's perspective. It becomes difficult. Can a teacher especially take care of that child in that classroom where she's given only 20 minutes to finish a stipulated portion? It's so difficult. To understand the plight of the teacher also. So in such a situation, it is necessary that a psychologist is there who caters to them. So what she does is that she takes remedial classes. She calls them separately and asks them to, and she puts it in a much more simpler way to the student. Okay, so this is how the education is today, and these are the kind of challenges which the teachers face. So that's about the classroom. So how does once the teacher is identifies and she refers them to the psychologist, she studies the child using different goes through she studies the child in depth. Okay, she investigates what are the problems what the child is going, whether it is emotional, social, cognitive. She conducts assessments. Okay, identifies the problem and then take remedial measures. These things does not take place in just one session. There are sessions which takes place during multiple sessions which takes place. And at that time, what they need to do, they need to take the support of the parents as well as of the school authority. And then they need to work together as a team. Okay. Now, since you all told me about Ishan Awasthi, I am thinking that, okay, now when I say about Ishan Awasthi, let me ask you all. What is one thing that comes to your mind when I tell about Ishan? What is that one thing that this one Ishan Awasthi, what is that coming in your mind?
Dyslexia.
Dyslexia. Okay.
A creative person was unrecognized.
Correct.
Painting.
Painting. Right. Very good. Okay, so you kind of remember the story, right? So now, what do you think? I mean, like when when normally if I ask this question to somebody, they don't generally come out only with the negative traits. Okay, he was naughty. He was he did not he was not attentive in the class. Could not write anything. Who could not read anything. You know, whenever I have this thing, I normally see that normal in a normal class. Okay, whenever I put up this question, they come out only with negative things about Ishana Vasthi. That's how our society is. Okay, but nobody there would be like today. At least there's somebody who told me he was very creative. Okay, his talent was not recognized. Okay, but when you ask in a normal crowd, they will only come that he was very naughty. He will come with all negative things. That's how our society is. So we need to change our mental. We don't see the good things in any, only see the negative things in. Okay. Similarly, in Ishana Avasthi's case also, the world only saw the negative things about it. They did not see the positive part of it. Right? Unless and after that, I mean, like he had such good creativity and he had such skills of drawing and everything. Everything vanished when once he went to boarding school. Okay, and there what happened? He went into depression. And then it was Ram Kumar Nikum who identified the problem and then he saw. What I'm trying to tell you here is that as everybody, each one of us are involved in this. We only see everybody's negative side. Even in school also, the teacher will, once the teacher sees anything, the child being naughty, okay, what happens? They only say that he's a naughty boy. I know that in my own class, there are teachers who come to me saying that, Arey, your son, this boy is such a naughty boy in your class. He's such a talkative boy. I mean, they will never talk good things. We need to change this mindset. We need to start talking more good things. That will help them to get better. Imagine if I just keep telling any one of you, if I just say Kenan is like this, Kenan is that, Kenan is very naughty, Kenan is doing this, what happens is that it will only create a negative impact in him. He will lose his confidence. He will not be able to, this negative aura will surround him and will not help him to. So what should we all do together? I mean, it's not just me or a teacher or a parent, all of us together, right? We all are we are all connected to each other in some way or the other. So what we need to do is that we have to talk good things. We have to identify the good. And as a teacher, I should not talk about Ishana Avasthi being as a naughty boy or anything. I should rather appreciate him for what he's really good at. That will help him to do better. That will help him to boost his morale also. Okay? So that is what they are trying to say in this movie. I just have some alarming things to show you all here. Okay, see, these are something which has come on WHO's mental health issues. Okay, it says that 1 in 6 people are aged between 10 and 19 go through this mental health. Mental health conditions account for 16% of global burden of disease and injury in age between 10 to 19. And half of the mental health condition starts at age of 14 and remains undetected and untreated. Globally, depression is one of the major causes of illness and disability among adolescents. You all agree to that? One of the reasons for all of this is we are responsible. How are we responsible? Because we give overemphasis to education, scores, okay, and marks, etc. And this is creating so much of pressure on students. And that is one of the reasons for depression. Increasing suicides, student suicide. Just because the student did not perform well in 12th grade, they commit suicide. Why all of these are happening? Because we are not addressing the mental health of the students at all. Suicide is the 4th leading cause of death in 15 to 19 years. The consequence of addressing adolescents' mental health extends to adulthood. Screen is somewhere blocking. Impairs the physical and mental health and limiting the opportunities to a fulfilled life society. In my own house, like, I know my relatives where there is comparison between siblings. One child is doing very, very, very strong in academics, coming out with wonderful marks. On the other hand, there's another child who's average. The parents, they normally, the comparison comes, they talk really high about the one who scores really well. The second one, now it's been like, they are those these siblings are like in their middle ages. The younger one is now in mental asylum. The reason for it is that depression and because he was never been encouraged at all, never motivated, never appreciated. All these goody things went to the older one because he scored very. So this is the kind of thing that is happening in the society. And nobody even, I mean, at that time, nobody even cared about the mental health of this child. What the child must be going through, nobody even cared about it. Finally, what happened? Today he's into mental asylum. Because of which, I mean, who is responsible? We are all responsible. This only shows that we have to create this kind of awareness that mental health is more important than education. And it is more important than physical health. Okay? I have something more to show you. Mental health is directly linked to education. 12 to 13% of students in India suffer from emotional, behavioral, and learning problems. Not all children have learning disabilities. They only need some kind of encouragement and help and support from school and from parents, which they are not getting. And that's when, for the sake of attention, what happens is that they start behaving differently. They tend to be disobedient in the school. They tend to distract the teacher. Okay, they tend to not listen in the class, make some kind of sounds. The reason is that they want attention. They're not getting it at home. Okay. WHO has come out with a report where the student psychiatric ratio is 1 million is to 3, which means for every 1 million, there are only 3 psychiatrists, and the number of psychologists are even lesser. Okay. CBSE had come out that they're making mandatory to have psychologists in the school. Okay, but only 3% of private schools, as per the report given by ASCOM, okay, have actual appointment records. Okay? And in government schools, I don't have to even tell you, you all know how the plight is.
Yes.
That's how it is. Okay? So what is that we can do? We are in a psychologist community. At least we start off, we can create awareness and we can spread it across and create a healthy living or a healthy living for the coming generation. What we can do?
In schools, the students are treated as
I didn't get you.
the students are treated as a display trophies for their results. Like they have got 99% and 98%.
Yes,
No one
definitely.
talks about their mental health or their student issue.
Nobody. Right. I completely agree. And you know, in my experience as a school teacher, I tell you, there were children. You know, they used to just before the exams. I mean, just 15 minutes before the exams, the child's hands and legs are actually shivering. They were trembling.
Anxiety.
Yes. And his hands have become so cold. I was trying to massage his hand, trying to warm his hand, but he's like, I asked him like, what happened? Why are you doing this? So scared about the exams. That's kind of a environment we have created around. So we are not giving importance to mental health at all. We must address the prevalence of child and adolescent health problems and reduce the stigma. Okay. Next one is social stigma is another thing. Okay. Now the child who does not score well is not being accepted wholeheartedly in the society. The house itself they are not accepted. Right. So we should reduce that kind of stigma. Another thing, there's a learning disability. You saw in that movie itself, like how the parents reacted when the child was not studying well. Right? Everybody bullied him, teased him, was punished every time. What is this? Shouldn't we try to reduce this kind of a stigma? You know, even to this extent, psychologist ke paas jana means like it's considered like he's got some mental, he's got either he's insane. Okay, it's only then that a person goes to a psychologist. People don't understand the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. So that is this kind of a stigma should stop. People shy from telling that I went to a psychologist.
Yes.
Whereas if you go abroad, it's very, very common.
Very common, yeah.
Yeah, they don't address it here in India. Primary care providers and educators must consider mental health to be as important as physical health, okay, which is not being taken care of. Somebody's got fever, they will treat him for the temperature or for the fever. But when it comes to something like he's going under depression or any kind of a panic attack, nothing to bother about. Even in the hospital, theek ho jayega. Everything will be okay. Don't worry about it. That is what they say. Right? School governments must conduct training and awareness programs that are needed to help the parents, educators, health providers to learn the best ways to encourage healthy social, emotional, and behavioral development. Okay. Schools and colleges must recruit educational psychologists. That should be compulsorily made. Right? Though it has been mandated, it has not been followed. Okay. So early identification, I think all of you all will agree that early identification will help to sort this kind of mental problem to a great extent,
Yes.
isn't it? So it should be encouraged at preschool level, child care level, okay, at a very preschool level itself, K-12 education, then it should be introduced in all of these places. So what happens overall, there would be overall improvement of that generation students. Next is social acceptance and inclusion. If a child is autistic or if a child is having any kind of health issue, that kind of social acceptance and taking him along in the normal crowd should be accepted. Okay? That's about what I could tell you as a school teacher. Okay. Now you must be wondering, now I'm coming to career counselor. Must be wondering like what am I going to say as a career counselor? What do you think about it? Psychology is required in career counseling.
Yes, ma'am. Very much so.
Tell me how. I mean, just give me a little about it. I mean, what do you have? What share your thoughts on?
It shows a person's strength and weakness, and by this we can choose a career out of it.
Very true, very true. And do you think that as a career counselor, we only have to find the strength and weakness? Supposing if a child is not scoring well, okay, but we know that the child, I mean, from the psychometric report, I get to understand that the child is doing well. He can do well, he can perform well. So
Motivate him.
correct. So we also have a lot of role to play besides just identifying the careers and making plans. We have to help in managing a variety of problems that come on the way to make careers. Time management. Do you all agree to that? You're all students, right? Time management is so important. Most of the parents who come to me, they tell me like, my child is not studying, just studies for 2 hours, then he goes and plays, then he doesn't come back. I mean, that's not only at, at primary level, even at elementary and high school level also the problem exists. So time management is very important, and we actually give them tips as to how to manage their time. So if you manage your time properly, you can do everything.
Okay.
So, we have to encourage that. We have to make them understand that. Next is increasing concentration. Last 2 years, I will say 9 out of 10 parents who come to me tell me that he has no concentration. He's not focused. Okay. I don't know what to do with the child. When he was aiming for JE, and now I don't see him studying at all. She wanted to write NEET, but she doesn't want to write now. So these are the problems which parents are telling me during this COVID time, because they're sitting in their own rooms on the bed and studying. When they are in a classroom, what happens is that there are so many students, a lot of competition. Then there is a teacher who's always there that she gives a deadline like kal tak submit karo, bring it tomorrow. Okay, but that is not there in the school when it comes to the class in an online class, a virtual platform. So this has somewhere affected the students. And of course, everything has become MCQ, and then exams are also not happening the way it has to actually happen. So overall, what has happened is that the child's enthusiasm about studying has come down drastically, and so they lack concentration.
Ma'am, do you agree with the exam system that's now in India?
I don't agree to it because I feel that the CBSE and ICSE could have done something to have some kind of exams. So the ones who had been studying all through the year could have done some justice to them. Today, everybody is scoring about 95% and 97%, isn't it? So it becomes so difficult for the colleges also. On what basis will they actually give admission? All of them are scoring about 90. So, but we don't have a choice. That's what the situation warrants. We don't have a choice here. Another thing, I think most of you all will agree to this: adolescents and parents conflicts. Okay, now there are so many new careers which are coming, and students don't want to get into medicine or engineering. Okay, whereas the parents still are in that STEM subjects. Make a career in STEM subjects. If you have to make a career and if you have to make money, it should be only in STEM subjects. Right? So don't you see that there is a lot of conflict which is taken? I think most of them would have experienced it also. You want to take up something, maybe I don't know, maybe how many of your parents would have probably thought like taking up a psychology is a good idea. Like, do something else now that will give you more money, which will give you more recognition. That's what they aim, right? So this is again a major area which we have to cater. Okay, peer pressure. My friend is doing this, I'm doing this. Okay, that's another thing that is happening. My 4 friends are doing this, even I want to join that. Following that bandwagon is all managing emotions. We also have in a psychometric test about this emotions. Won't believe even the professionals who come to me, they are weak on their emotions. They are not able to perform their best, or they're underperforming because of they're not able to regulate their emotions. They're very, very sensitive. If the boss says him something, he's not able to cope up with it and he loses interest in his work, and then he wants to quit the job. So being a fighter, how can you regulate your emotions? That's very, very important to have a very good career. And motivation, as well already told, motivation is so important. 10th standard students, 12th standard students, they go under some, I mean, of course, forget this COVID time. Otherwise, I'm saying there's no motivation that is left for the students. I mean, especially the 10th and 12th, there's like all they can see is the number that they have to score, the academic score that they should. That's the only thing that comes to their mind. But we can do it in a more positive manner by motivating them, isn't it? So these are some things which we as a career counselors we do. If you see, what this is the generally the trend. Okay, they just follow the bandwagon. They follow the peers, their friends. Okay, one of the student, I had a very peculiar case where a friend says, student comes telling me, I said, why do you want to become a psychologist? He's saying, ma'am, that teacher who delivered that lecture is very beautiful, so I want to become a psychologist. So there are some things like that. Then I asked him. Then there was another case. The child was telling, "Why you want? I want to take up medicine because my brother took up medicine." She's not. She does. She just follows to whatever her brother does. So that is there. Then of course, मुझे Shah Rukh Khan बनना है, right? That is there. Everybody wants to become a actor, influencer. That you can see on the Instagram to extent which people are struggling to get followers and make get maximum. Why all of these things are the ones that is we're just following the bandwagon. So they don't really know what they want to become. They're just going, they want to imitate somebody, and that's their age. At the age of 14 to 16, they just want to imitate whoever they like. They just admire whoever they like, they admire. And besides, this world is making a mad race. There's a mad race for money, fame, dignity. You agree to that?
Yes.
Right? Take up parents, what do they suggest? It's a bad profession. Become a chartered accountant. Going to be a lot of money. Become a doctor, fame, dignity. Okay, that's what. These are the only few professions people can see. Why? Because this is the only one which gives money, fame, and dignity. Today, even in engineering also, people will not think about anything. Take up software engineering. Why? Because it has a lot of money. Okay, so we're just in the mad race. We fail to realize that you should work what you love to do and what you're passionate about. How many of us have time for it? We don't have time. We are in a mad race, like till 10th standard, you have to struggle, and then you score good marks. After that, from 12th standard, you take science, commerce, or whatever you take. You take that subject, and then you struggle to get into a good college. Then again, you have to take up the professional course, you struggle, and then there's a mad race to get into a good job. Nobody has time to actually realize what they are passionate about, what they like to do, what they want to do, whether a child, an adolescent, or an adult. Even if you ask your own parents, wherever they were working, if you ask them at any point of them, what was that in your mind? What are you passionate to do? If one time you want to stop all your work and do something, what is that you want to do? I'm telling you, they're clueless. They don't know. Tell me, why is it so?
Because they have never asked that question. What do you want to be?
Yeah, because we are all in that mad race. But today you all ask your parents, what is that they want to do? They have been just living in a family life. There's so much of pressure of working at home, taking care of children, taking care of the work and money making, and everything is happening. At one point of time, have they had any time left for them to do what they want to do? There is no time. Okay, so we are just working to make bills, to pay the bills. We are not working just because we love to do it. Okay, so that is the reason. I have a shocking thing for you. A global poll was conducted by Gallup. Out of the world's 1 billion full-time workers, only 15% of people are engaged at it, which means 85% of people are unhappy in their job. Okay, so what happens, like supposing it is happening in the present state also, present life also is happening, but I'm talking about our generation before us. Okay, they would have got into some government jobs. Okay, every day they will just see the file, 4 o'clock ho gaya, let's go. Okay, next day they will come back, do their work, see the file, go. If you ask them what did they do, what did they learn, did they enjoy work? I did not enjoy work. I just worked to make money, take care of my children, pay their fees, pay the bills, etc. That is all. Okay, they did not enjoy work. Okay, why is the statistics so high? Some say because of the boss, some say salary, long hours. Okay, we were bound, we had so much of commitments, we had to do it because of all of what they are saying. But the real reason is that they have not identified what they like to do. There is no time for us to actually identify what we want. There were no career councils at that time to actually identify what it. Okay, so that is the reason today there is a growing need for career counselors. Only at the school level, and career counselors should be introduced at the school level itself, at grade 8 itself. The reason being, that time they should start exploring what they like, what they don't like. Okay, and then slowly when they're coming, most of the students at 10th, they're doing their studies just out of pressure. There's no focus to what they want. But at the 8th standard or 9th standard level, once we tell them once we identify the strength and weakness, or we tell them that you are very good at engineering, you can be good at engineering, you can be good psychologist. So they have a focus to what they want to study in grade. Isn't it? Do you agree to that? So don't you think the step of studying at grade 10 would become easier once you know what your goal is?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it? So this is what is happening. Then at 10th standard, they will give their 100%. They know, like, okay, I want to become an architect. I have to get this score. Then only I can get into this college. Okay, and then they will start working for it. Now what is happening is that they're just simply studying. Okay, I have to get 95. Mummy has told me I have to get 95. I'm studying. That is what they're studying. But they do not know. If you ask them at 10th standard, what do you want to become? They do not know what they want. We have yet to decide. So career counseling should start at grade 8 level, so that they get these 2 years to actually explore what are the different careers available. Most parents and students who come to me at grade 8, 9, they really do not know what are the careers. If you ask any 10th standard who is an architect, or you ask him it's a blockchain developer, or you ask him you ask him any question, they know only some few careers, like, a pilot, maybe an engineer, medicine, okay, just few of them. But are there just 3 of them? There are so many careers, 3,000 careers are available. They are not aware. They are not aware of this. There are so many courses which are available in design. Careers in design is a news for everybody. So these things, if they have been introduced at grade 8 level, I think things becomes much more easier. There is a focus for them also to study. It will help them for themselves to decide what they like to do. What should they themselves will come out saying that whether they should take science, commerce, or arts, rather than we telling them. Okay, so that is one thing we can reduce this way. By identifying the right careers for the coming generation, it will help us to reduce this kind of problems that we are seeing now. Okay, so if I have to summarize about what a career counselor, role of a career counselor, is it just about identifying or making career plans? It is identifying, of course, through the career assessment, we identify students' personality, skills, and everything. But besides that, we also help them improve their confidence, self-esteem, social behavior. We also, like, I tell every student that, it's not just about getting scores. How can you develop into a holistic? How can you bring about a holistic development? Identify your passion, identify what you like to do, and then work on that. It's just not about scores. You can be an average student, but if you are very good at something else, work on that also. Maybe music, dance, or instruments, or drawing, anything. Okay, so that will help them to make them a complete package, and also a holistic development of an education. Then most students are very low on their confidence. And you think I can become a psychologist? You think I can become a doctor? Of course you can have the right skills. They lack the confidence. So, the first thing is that I have to boost their confidence. I first start taking sessions with confidence, boosting their confidence and self-esteem and everything, and then I get into mainstream career counseling. Then interpersonal skills. There are so many students who are introverts. They tell me that, ma'am, I'm introvert. I mean, they take it in a negative. I said, doesn't mean that if you're an introvert, doesn't really mean that you cannot do anything, or you definitely have interpersonal skills. It's only that it has not been exposed, or it has not been nurtured.
Polished.
Yes. Okay. So these things come first even before career counts, or making a career path. Then there are students who tell me like, ma'am, I don't want to take math because math is very difficult. I come out with a lot of tips for them, like how can you help? I mean, because math is very important till 12th standard. For all entrance exams, you need 12. You need the math. There is something called numerical ability, or there is logical reasoning. For everything, for all entrance exams, math is very. So what I give you is study tips. A lot of study tips. You can put it up on the display board of your, or on the table. Then make a book where you put all the formulas. A lot of things that you can. So I also help them out with the career tip, learning techniques, and also study tips, which help them to increase their scores and do better. Then next one is provide with resources. Now, for example, the students asking me what is cybersecurity, okay, what is forensic, okay. These kids do not know. So obviously, before I tell them that you can become a forensic scientist, or you can become. Sorry. Before I can tell them that you can become a forensic scientist, or you can become you can take biotechnology. First, I need to tell them what it is. I need to I need to provide the right information to them. So we have to share information and knowledge, and this is required even in the school. If there is an in-house career counselor, definitely these things become much more easier for for the students as well as parents. Helping in building profiles for college admissions in schools, colleges in India as well as abroad. Today, it has become so competitive. So competitive. Everybody is scoring about 95. So what happens is that on what basis will the examiner, I mean, admission selector actually, admit the students? So what are the other things that are required? They look for other things like, are you into any extracurricular activity? Have you done any have you done any internship? Have you learned? Do you know any foreign language? How can you? How can you be an asset to our college? That is what they are looking. So we help in building that kind of profile. Okay, and then of course make career path for them based on this. So career counsel is not just about making career path. It's about so many things. We have so many other roles. So what I would say at the end is that my personal advice as a career counselor would, whatever you decide to do, make sure it makes you happy. Then there's a very, very famous quote given by Confucius. Okay? What he says that find a job you will love and you don't have to work a day. Which means that you should find happiness in what you work. But that you have to first identify what you love, and then you start working. Find what you're passionate about. Your life should not be just about working. Your life you should know to balance, identify your passion, have some hobbies, make a balance in all of that will make your life happy. So that is what my advice is to all of you all. You too should find your path, do something that you love to do. Identify your own ways to explore what you like, introspect, and find the career path, right career for yourself, and work which will make you happy. That's how I end myself. So I hope I was good today and was insightful for you all.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you all were very good audience. I really enjoyed the interactive also, and at the same time you were listening. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Irfana I think Irfana is there.
Just gone to grab a coffee.
No, yeah, probably. But ma'am, I just want to mention one thing before we break. So I don't know if you know, but I'm a mother of 2 kids. We live outside. It's only when I came here, mental health is so important in schools here, and they pay so much attention to every small detail. Even when we moved from Philippines to Hong Kong, there were counselors talking to the kids and everything. And that's when I realized that back home in India, no one really bothers so much.
That's exactly why I brought this to you all, right?
Absolutely, ma'am.
It's really
And
sad.
Ma'am,
it's
is
very sad.
meant to develop those kind of things in India also?
It has to develop. It has to develop. Now, there were students who were asking me, like, how do you see the demand for a psychologist? Don't you think India has immense scope for psychologists, career as a psychologist?
So much. And I
So-
think they need it also so much because I see, ma'am, like when we live in the farm, when we come to India, and there are so many kids who come from such difficult, like either they see abuse, like the father hitting the mother, or even the kids get hit and all, but there's no one to talk to them. They just grow up like that, and no one even cares that whether they may need
Exactly.
to talk or anything.
And if you see, this mental health issue is majorly ignored in India.
Yes.
Nobody even cares about it.
No one
And that
cares.
is, yeah. So imagine now with time, mental health issues only going to increase.
Yes.
Okay, because now students are very, very sensitive. I see that students' emotional quotient is very, very weak. You can't
Yes.
scold them, okay, and you cannot do anything to them. So you have obviously then you need to have a counselor who can help them out. It's not happening. And imagine if these kids' mental health is not taken care of, how will they actually shoulder the responsibility?
Yes.
How will they take up job and be happy? How can they be happy as a family? How will they look after their family? These things are not being addressed at all. And that is the reason, in school, if you see in other countries, in schools, if there is compulsory in-house counselors as
Yes.
behavior counselors, education counselors.
Yes. My kids, even my little daughter, she's 4.5, ma'am, and my son is 10, 11. So they have once a week SEL, social emotional learning. They have to have a session with the counselor, and the counselor's room is like they can walk out of the class anytime if they want to see a counselor. Even if they have a fight with something, they know that they can go and talk about their feelings or anything.
Yes,
It's
yes.
important.
I mean, it's even if you see, there are a lot of strained relationships which are taking place, marital relationships
Yes.
today. Okay, but if you go abroad, okay, there are relationship counselors, marriage counselors, etc. In India, how many? You can just count them on the feet. It is at least better in
Family is
urban
the
area.
counselor.
I didn't get you. Beg your pardon?
The family is the counselor in India. They
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
share
So
together.
true. So true.
And besides, you can also see that there's nobody to care for them. It is a matter of if somebody is going to a counselor, it is considered to be a social stigma. It's another thing.
Yes.
An act of shame.
Yeah,
Because of in semi-urban families, parents are not indulged in their occupation right now. So
correct, correct.
I mean,
And
other-
here, at least in urban areas, it's still better. Look at villages, what's
Yes,
happening.
ma'am.
Girls are getting married at 14 years, even if they want to get
They
married.
are pregnant at the age of 20, ma'am,
Correct.
and they have a child.
And what kind of emotional trauma they go through, where they have been asked for dowry, they've been hit for it. Is there anybody to look after? Nobody is there. There are no counselors.
There are
nothing.
no choices given for them for their life partner, choices for their career and
Right. So if
So,
you are,
I have a doubt.
tell me.
Ma'am, the whole career counseling comes under the educational psychology.
Yeah, as a education, after taking education psychology, you can become a career counselor, you can become a therapist, you can become a juvenile counselor.
Okay.
So, I mean, schools have, I mean, if you go abroad, schools pay very well for as a school psychologist. In India, it's picking up, but yeah, I would say that it is still picking up. I have a very good article to read on this. If you all don't mind, shall I?
Yeah,
Please,
yes,
please.
ma'am. Yes.
Analysis revealed that educational psychology in India is struggling for a respectable place in psychology curricula. Due to the complex educational structure, overemphasis on scoring marks, rote learning has impacted students' mental health significantly, which will have a deleterious impact on their mental balance. Students fall victim to the stressful academic environment and the high expectation of their parents. It is debatable whether this rat race brings about outstanding performance in students or not. But what is clear from several pieces of research is that it brings out performance anxiety. So all of us must understand that we need to create an awareness about taking help of psychologists, which is still a social stigma in society. I think educational bodies, schools, colleges, governments, NGOs must equally contribute to inculcate the importance of students' mental health. So it's quite an interesting article which I saw.
Ma'am, are there any guidelines in Indian schools to have a counselor in school? Not yet, right, ma'am? Is
There
it
is, I told you, right?
it is
CBSE, ICSE.
CBSE.
But as I told you in this particular screen, as I showed you all, this is what the plight is. As per the
The
as
ratio.
per the ratio is just so much. And this the third point, it is actually given by CBSE, and only 3% of the private schools, because they want to save money there.
Ma'am, the curriculum also need to be changed by the CBSE. New curriculum was also
Yeah, choice of subjects, number of subjects. Imagine a 10th standard, a 15-year-old has to study 10
the new
subjects.
education policies covers that all, but still
Yes.
the schools can't really comprehend with that policy at
And
that level.
and the thing is, like, even if they implement it, to what extent it is still going to take time to actually execute them, to come down at every school level.
Urban
And then
areas, I think it's almost easy if from the rural area, because rural area doesn't have that kind of infrastructure or the people or the teachers that can provide such kind of knowledge to them.
right. But it has to spread across. Otherwise, there's no point in having it at national level. Then it is not called as NEP. Then it has to reach out. But I don't know. It's going to be a very difficult task.
It's will be quite unfair, like for 5 or 6 years, because there will be regional unbalance of education.
Correct. Definitely. And it is there. It is going on. Isn't it? There is a lot of imbalance which is taking place.
Okay. So any other questions, guys? It's been a very interesting subject, ma'am, and thank you so much for the lovely presentation and the
Thank you
talk.
so much. Thank you
It's
so much. I am
really,
happy that you all liked it.
Absolutely, ma'am. There's so much information, and it's really good to know what the role of an education psychologist is. So,
Seriously.
any other
It became alarming for me also. It came out as it actually became an eye opener for me also when I started preparing for it. I mean, though I was going through it, but when I started preparing for it, I realized that, oh, seriously, Jyoti. Just like that. You all can reach out to me anytime.
Yes.
I mean, that's my number. Okay. And you can also, that's my website also. For any career issues or anything that you want to talk to me or on any topic, then reach out to me on this.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I can say thank you from my all my batchmates. Thank you so much, ma'am. And over to Irfana now.
Yeah,
Irfana?
So, ma'am, thank you. I'll be sharing your social media handles and even your phone number, everything to the team so they can get in touch with you in person.
Sure.
Yeah, even there were some technical glitches, but good.
I know.
We figured
change
out.
of place helped actually.
Yeah, ma'am. So later on also you can help us with few case studies from your side
Sure.
of students. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we'll be ending for today. And
Sure.
everyone, I know it's been a long day, so take your rest, but ensure you're all on the walking app and we are taking the physical health also seriously. Yeah.
Irfana won't leave us.
No, I will not leave anyone. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Hi. Bye. Have a good day.
Yes,
Thank you.
and thank you. And it was seriously indeed a pleasure to meet you all. And I wish you all the best. Okay. So
Thank you.
very soon seeing all of you as psychologists. Okay. God bless. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.